Bastion, my guy, what did they do to you?
No! Get out! I'm above all this!
It's no secret that I love Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Even when I gripe about it, I'll gladly rewatch it more than almost any other anime series, or even starting a new series. No, I still haven't started Dandadan. But I'm never gonna get over how they did Bastion. Sure, Tag Force 3 helped a bit, but we never got the proper arc for our Brainiac. However, complaining non-stop about how they did him dirty doesn't do me anything, so I decided to do something a little different today. I'm gonna fix Bastion Misawa. And no, I don't mean that way, even if it would have helped with Tanya. Anyways, let's jump in.
Can't you see what you're doing to me? With friends like you who need to help me, so give me whiplash, baby!
Honestly, most of Season 1 you can keep the same for Bastion. He can beat Princeton and show off his attack point quantum mechanics, and him losing to Jaden wasn't bad either. He could still use his water deck both times and take away Jaden's fusion. That was a pretty good way of showing him losing, but still making him look good. Next is the biggest change to start. Don't have him lose to Tanya. That completely derailed his character. They could still do the Shadow Riders being, well, not fantastic, except Donzalug. He was the best one.
The one and only Donzalug! And when I say one and only, I really mean it, because, my children, I am him!
Have Bastion beat Tanya, and he can still have some dignity. That being said, maybe it was the best thing to happen to him. Some of you probably think he's lucky for that. Next up, you can have him lose to Banner. As much as I'd love Bastion to be the conquering hero who's beloved by everyone and take down the big bad, I don't think that's the role for him in this arc. He can lose to Banner and still have some teeth. Also at this point, have him venture out and use more decks. We knew Bastion had 6 different decks based on the 6 elements, but the dub doesn't tell you that. So if they're gonna tease us with that information, they might as well follow through.
There's a simple explanation for that.
Have him use his Earth deck or Magnet deck against Banner, but considering how short those duels were, it almost doesn't even matter for that part. But outside of that, Season 1 Bastion wouldn't really need to be that different. The Society of Light arc is where things get different for our boy. Get him away from this group. I'm not even necessarily against the idea that he felt like no one was noticing him. It's not a great trope, but if done right, it could have been awesome. But I have a slightly different idea in mind. Instead of him being constantly ignored and joining the society, have Bastion decide to take some charge when Jaden goes MIA. Considering he's the brains of the group, he can start picking up on all the weird changes that have been going down at Duel Academy. This is honestly something I think could have affected the whole cast. Jaden didn't have to duel every single one of the filler or Society of Light members. Even if most of them weren't necessarily fantastic, it still would be cool to see everyone get some love in these duels. Heck, maybe Bastion duels Lorenzo when he totally burned him before Jaden got the chance to.
Let's do this!
Still not ringing a bell.
Eh?
Who are you?
Lorenzo is a pro, despite the bad accent.
Really?
He could start using different decks that we never got to see at this point. Maybe he starts using his fire deck to show off the fire dragon for a good bit. You know, that dragon that people are convinced are going to be printed at some point. Not saying it shouldn't be, I've just lost hope.
There's a simple explanation for that.
The deck could still be based on chemicals in the periodic table, incredibly similar to his water deck. Princeton could still get brainwashed and have everyone involved still getting brainwashed too. Did not love how Alexis got roped in, but hey, this isn't her video. During all of this, Bastion could have the pressure get to him. Don't do a story about him being ignored yet. Instead, maybe Bastion feels like what he's doing isn't enough. People are still losing their minds, and he can't find a workaround for it. He can distance himself and even have a crisis in confidence. His loss to Banner last season could really weigh on him. The gang can reassure him that he's doing his best, and we can ignore that awful point of them ignoring his depression for food. Honestly, that felt so out of character. Bastion can see Hasselberry fighting off Sartorius' control, Jaden returning with a new and improved confidence and deck, and Cyrus getting promoted, and still, he feels like he's not doing enough to improve himself. Now, this is where I thought the show failed Bastion. Him joining the society to prove he has a place to belong wasn't the worst thing, but they never capitalized on it afterwards. So instead of joining the group, Bastion could go into a bit of a depressive state.
Eek. You're having a psychotic episode, Jaden. You're reliving duels from your past.
Maybe he wants to give up dueling. He could even think that something was wrong with the way he was doing things, but as soon as he wants to give up and crawl away, he meets Eisenstein.
Eisenstein!
Whatever. And the professor could do what he did in the anime, inspire Bastion to be better and keep his mindset intact. They could even have a duel that Bastion wins, and he could use a dark deck, because a Society of Light, dark to combat light. Never mind. His deck in the manga was always interesting, but honestly, a physics deck similar to Eisenstein would be fantastic. He regains his confidence thanks to the professor and is the main person to lead the satellite mission. You can still have Hasselberry turn into a space dino and help save the day, but Bastion could be the main hero for the side part. Rather than the 15 side characters they involved. He's not the main hero of the whole story, but he can still get some praise and love from everyone. Season 3 is actually fine for Bastion. It's one of the few things I wouldn't change about that season. I think maybe the one thing I would have him do is just duel more. Maybe we see him work alongside Aster, Zane, and Axel. He and Tanya could tag duel some of the Supreme King's soldiers, and Bastion could predominantly use a wind deck. Yeah, unfortunately, his decks are the one thing that make things a little more complicated. I don't really see a whole lot of existing archetypes working alongside his deck and the new changes he goes through, but let me know what you guys think. Besides that, he could still give Jaden the great speech about being the Supreme King and motivating him to use that power for good, right before apologizing.
Sorry for grabbing your arm like that. And all the big yelling, just trying to pep talk ya.
And lastly, Season 4. Honestly, Bastion could still remain the alternate dimension for a bit. He could make sure everything is safe and eventually make his way back to Duel Academy with Tanya. Causing him to stay behind after everything was fixed really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. That said, he could duel against Truman or Darkness. Maybe even Sartorius tries to help him and they both use light decks. He really doesn't need to use any particular attribute for certain situations in all of his duels, but like I said, if you're gonna tease 6 decks, show 6 decks.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want!
He could use his intelligence to find out that Yusuke and Darkness might be connected in some way. His story could really be similar to what it was in Tag Force 3. Even with all of the stuff he goes through, maybe he feels like he doesn't get some credit he deserves. But of course, he learns that everyone still appreciates him even if it's not always said. Bastion could realize that he only needs recognition from himself, his friends, and his mentors. And honestly, that doing the right thing is more important. Bastion, grades-wise, graduates at the top of the class, and he could even decide to follow in Eisenstein's footsteps and become an independent scientist. I want to give him something different to follow, because in all honesty, him being a teacher makes way more sense than Alexis based on their respective stories, but oh well. And that's how I would fix Bastion Misawa. It's not perfect, but the new story still has him keeping his relevance. He can still be funny, he can remain part of the group, and show some teeth when needed. Years ago, I thought him beating Sartorius was the perfect idea, but I don't think that's necessarily the right move anymore. Still, you don't have to be the main hero in order to be compelling, and showing off his strengths would have saved Bastion's character. But that being said, what do you guys think? How would you guys have written Bastion? What would you have done to make him more compelling and less of a joke? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what other characters I should try to fix, rather than just analyze. Wanted to do something different this time for Bastion because he didn't deserve what he got.
Sorry, I was deep into some attack point quantum mechanics and lost track of time.
Buddy, you're making it really hard to defend you. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see you next time. Look, at the very least, just give this man his own theme in Duel Links. My guy deserves a battle song of his own.